Both India and Pakistan have hinted that they would consider de-escalating their conflict if the other side commits to the same. This follows several days of cross-border shelling and missile and drone attacks. The Pakistani military released this video in the early hours of Saturday, which it said showed medium-range missiles targeting Indian air bases. Pakistan said the strikes were in response to prior attacks by the Indian military. India said there was limited damage to equipment and personnel at 4 of its Air Force stations. The worst escalations in decades were triggered by a militant attack in Indian-administered Kashmir last month. New Delhi says the militants were backed by Pakistan, which Islamabad denies. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar says his country would consider de-escalation if India does not carry out further attacks, an idea echoed by an Indian Air Force officer at a press briefing in Delhi this morning.
Indian armed forces remain in a high state of operational readiness. All hostile actions have been effectively countered and responded appropriately. Indian armed forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation, provided it is reciprocated by the Pakistan military.
For more, I am joined now by DW Delhi Bureau Chief Sandra Petersmann. Sandra, we just heard that military official say India was committed to non-escalation, provided that Pakistan reciprocates. What do you make of that?
Well, that's precisely the point, because India says that Pakistan holds all the cards. India says all its action is really a reaction to Pakistani hostilities. And let's maybe look at some of the facts that were provided in the press briefing this morning. It was a joint press briefing by India's Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Armed Forces. And we learned again of the intense use of drones, which is adding a whole new layer to this conflict. India has confirmed that it has targeted military installations in Pakistan this morning. India has also confirmed that Pakistan has targeted more than 20 Indian locations along the international border in states like Punjab and Rajasthan, but also in Indian-administered Kashmir. India has said that both military and civilian infrastructure were targeted with both drones and missiles. And we have in fact just heard of more intense fighting in Srinagar, where we have learned of some major explosions just now.
In the same news conference, officials said they believe Pakistani ground forces are mobilizing toward forward areas. What's the sense there about how or if that might lead to further escalation?
India is and remains to be in a state of high alert, but we should perhaps also look at diplomatic channels at play here. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has in fact in the past hours reached out to both sides. He spoke to Pakistani officials as well as to India's Minister of External Affairs, Jai Shankar. He has urged both sides to de-escalate. China has urged for de-escalation, has basically said that they are gravely concerned. We know that the junior Saudi Arabian foreign minister has been traveling to both capitals in the course of the week, but as of now, all this diplomatic action has, on the ground at least, not resulted in a de-escalation. In fact, we are seeing increasing casualties on both sides. And let me add here, there are many civilian casualties as well.
I know we have a team in Indian-administered Kashmir right now. What are you hearing from them?
They spent the last 24 hours in a district along the line of control that is effectively dividing Kashmir between India and Pakistan. The district is called Rajouri. They reported of massive explosions. They could identify the use of drones, the use of missiles. They said there was heavy artillery shelling throughout the night, and then again it flared up in the morning. And there were civilian casualties. It has been confirmed, for instance, that a senior government official in the district of Rajouri has been killed as a shell hit his house, and the team literally sheltered in the basement of the place where they were staying and will try to make it out of there once security allows.
Sandra Petersmann, many thanks as always. We want to bring in Shamil Shams now. He's with DW's Asia desk and joins us now. Shamil, Pakistan's foreign minister says his country would consider de-escalation if India stopped any further attacks. How likely do you think that is?
I think Pakistan would like to de-escalate because it's not in Pakistan's interest. Pakistan's economy, I've said repeatedly, is in a very bad shape. Pakistan cannot afford further escalation. The ball is in New Delhi's court now because New Delhi needs to de-escalate. It cannot go on like this. It's not also good for India, for New Delhi. See, the issue of Pakistan-backed militants, anti-India militants, remains there. But there is only a political solution to this. A dialogue is the way out. The more the war continues, the more hostilities continue, these anti-India militant groups, Islamist groups, will get impetus from this kind of hostilities. This is not going to serve any purpose of confrontation here is not really the solution. So de-escalation, I think, is something which international forces need to mediate between India and Pakistan. Pakistan needs to step back, but primarily Indian government, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, they need to step back as well. It is time for that.
As we heard, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to the Pakistani army chief in addition to his own counterpart there, the Pakistani foreign minister. Why is that?
Well, it's the Pakistani military which calls the shots. Everyone knows that the military has the ultimate power in Pakistan. It's the economic power, it's the political power. They are the main players. The civilian governments have not historically had any kind of power when it comes to foreign affairs or security policies. And in terms of this war-like situation, is the army chief, Asim Munir, who is the main guy here, who's the big guy there. So this is a very, very consequential move which Marco Rubio made. In the past, he called the foreign minister and other people, but when he calls the military chief, it means that the threat is so high that Washington now thinks that it is time that they engage with the army chief, who is actually the person who could de-escalate, who could make a difference on the ground.
So as you put it, the army holds all the cards. So let's dive a little deeper into that. Do you have a sense of where Pakistan's military currently stands on this conflict?
I think the Pakistani military, after India struck Pakistan, wanted to make a statement. They didn't want to appear weak to the public in Pakistan because their political position before Pahalgam was quite weak. And after India struck and they would not have retaliated, that would have created an impression in Pakistan that, look, the army is not really doing anything. The public sentiment was that the army should react. And now that they have reacted, I think they have achieved the goal that they wanted to achieve. And I think India should be also thinking on these lines. The Prime Minister Modi's government wanted to achieve. They wanted to make a statement, which they have. From here on, they need to de-escalate for the sake of the people. And extremism will only increase if these kind of hostilities persist. So it's time to de-escalate.
Oh, thanks as always. Shamil Shams with DW's Asia desk.
Pleasure. Thank you.